Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Verse 1.6.20. Evam yatantam vijne mamaha gocharo giram gambhirashvalakshanaya vacha shuchaha pratham yaniv.
Hare Krishna. Seeing my attempts in that lonely place, the personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all mundane description, spoke to me with gravity and pleasing words just to mitigate my grief.
Verse 21. Hantasmin janmani bhavan mamam drushtumiharhati avipakvakashayanam durdarsho aham kuyoginam.
O Narada, the Lord spoke, I regret that during this lifetime you will not be able to see me anymore. Those who are incomplete in service and who are not completely free from all material taints can hardly see me.
Verse 22. Sakridya darshitam rupam etat kamayate anag mat kamah shankeha sadhu sarvan munchati ruchan.
Mataji, could you scroll up, please? Thank you. O virtuous one, you have only once seen my person, and this is just to increase your desire for me, because the more you hanker for me, the more you will be freed from all material desires.
Verse 23. Satsevaya dirghayapi jatamai drudamatihi hitva vadyamimam lokam gantamajjantamasi.
By service of the absolute truth, even for a few days, a devotee attains firm and fixed intelligence in me. Consequently, he goes on to become my associate in the transcendental world after giving up the present deplorable material worlds.
Verse 24. Matirmai nibadheyam na vipadyet karhi chet praja sarga nirodhe api smritishcha madnugrahat.
Intelligence engaged in my devotion cannot be thwarted at any time, even at the time of creation, as well as at the time of annihilation. Your remembrance will continue by my mercy.
Verse 25. Etavadutvo pararam tanmahad bhutam nabholingam ishwaram aham cha tasmai mahatam mahiyase Shirshnavanamam vidhe anukampita.
Then that supreme authority, personified by sound and unseen by eyes, but most wonderful, stopped speaking. Feeling a sense of gratitude, I offered my obeisances unto him, bowing my head.
Verse 26. नामान्यनन्तस्य हत्रपः पठन् गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन् गां पर्यन्तुष्टमनागतस्पृह कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः.
Thus I began chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation, ignoring all the formalities of the material world. Such chanting and remembering of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are benedictory. So doing, I traveled all over the earth, fully satisfied, humble, and unenvious.
Verse 27. एवं कृष्णमतेर्ब्रह्मन् नासक्तस्यामलात्मनः कालः प्रादुर्भूतकाले तडित्सोत्तामनि यथाः.
And so, O Brahmana Vyasadeva, in due course of time, I, who was fully absorbed in thinking of Krishna and who therefore had no attachments, being completely freed from all material taints, met with death as lightning and illumination occur simultaneously.
Verse 28. प्रयुज्यमाने मयि तां शुद्धां भागवतीं तनूम् आरब्धकर्म निर्वाणो न्यपतत् पाञ्चभौतिकः.
Having been awarded a transcendental body, befitting an associate of the personality of Godhead, I quit the body made of 5 material elements, and thus all acquired fruitive results of work, karma, stopped.
Verse 29. कल्पान्त इदमादाय शयानेऽम्भस्युदन्वतः शिष्यशोरन्नुप्राणं विविशेऽन्तरहं विभोः.
At the end of the millennium, when the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayana, lay down within the water of devastation, Brahma began to enter into him along with all creative elements, and I also entered through his breathing.
Verse 30. सहस्रयुगपर्यन्ते उत्थायेदं सिश्रुक्षतः मरीचिमिश्रा ऋषयः प्राणेभ्योऽहं च जज्ञिरे.
After 4,300,000 solar years, when Brahma awoke to create again by the will of the Lord, all the rishis like Marichi, Angira, Atri, and so on were created from the transcendental body of the Lord, and I also appeared along with them.
Verse 31. अन्तर्बहिश्च लोकांस्त्रिन् पर्येम्यस्कन्दित्व्रतः अनुग्रहान् महाविष्णोर् अविघातगतिः क्वचित्.
Since then, by the grace of the Almighty Vishnu, I travel everywhere without restriction, both in the transcendental world and in the 3 divisions of the material world. This is because I am fixed in unbroken devotional service of the Lord.
Verse 32. देवदत्तामिमां वीणां स्वरब्रह्मविभूषितां मूर्छयित्वा हरिकथां गायमानाश्चराम्यहम्.
And thus I travel, constantly singing the transcendental message of the glories of the Lord, vibrating this instrument called a veena, which is charged with transcendental sound and which was given to me by Lord Krishna.
Verse 33. प्रगायतः स्ववीर्याणि तीर्थपादः प्रियश्रवाः आहूत इव मे शीघ्रं दर्शनं याति चेतसि.
The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, whose glories and activities are pleasing to hear, at once appears on the seat of my heart, as if called for, as soon as I begin to chant his holy activities.
Verse 34. एतद्ध्यातुर्चित्तानां मात्रस्पर्शेच्छया मुहुः भवसिन्धुप्लवो दृष्टो हरिचर्यानुवर्णनम्.
It is personally experienced by me that those who are always full of cares and anxieties due to desiring contact of the senses with their objects can cross the ocean of nescience on a most suitable boat, the constant chanting of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead.
Verse 35. यमादिभिर्योगपथैः कामलोभहतो मुहुः मुकुन्द सेवया यद्वत् तथात्माद्धान शाम्यति.
It is true that by practicing restraint of the senses by the yoga system, one can get relief from the disturbances of desire and lust. But this is not sufficient to give satisfaction to the soul, for this satisfaction is derived from devotional service to the personality of Godhead.
Verse 36. सर्वं तदिदमाख्यातं यत्पृष्टोऽहं त्वया नघ जन्म कर्म रहस्यं मे भवतश्चात्मतोषणम्.
O Vyasadeva, you are freed from all sins. Thus I have explained my birth and activities for self-realization, as you asked. All this will be conducive for your personal satisfaction also.
Verse 37. Sutuvacha evam sambhashya bhagavan narado vasvisutam amantra veenam ranyan yayo yadruchiko munihi.
Suta Goswami said, thus addressing Vyasadeva, Srila Narada Muni took leave of him, and vibrating on his veena instrument, he left to wonder at his free will.
Verse 38. Aho devarshirudhanyoam yat kirtim sharnak tanvanaha gayan. Where is it? 1 minute. Sorry, I'll repeat again. Verse 38. Aho devarshirudhanyoam yat kirtim sharnak dhanvanaha gayan madhyannidam tantraya ramayatyaturam jagat.
All glory and success to Srila Narada Muni, because he glorifies the activities of the personality of Godhead, and so doing, he himself takes pleasure and also enlivens all the distressed souls of the universe. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. That was lovely recitations. Vrindavan Prabhu, are you here now?
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I just logged on.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I will make you host now.
Thank you. Thank you, devotees, for reciting. Okay. Welcome, everyone, to today's chat session. If anyone's joined us for the first time, warm welcome. If you can remind me what verse we're doing today, Mataji?
Verse 24 today.
Verse 24.
Yeah.
Okay, just 1 minute. Let me just get everything ready. Hare Krishna. So, chapter 6, verse 24.
Yes, Canto 1, chapter 6.
Oh, okay. So we continue reading and discussing Canto 1, chapter 6, chapter entitled Conversation between Narada and Vyasa. And we're discussing text number 24. Hare Krishna. So let us recite the Mangala Charanam prayers together. Be unmuted mics, please. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutan Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutidevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivashari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachadi Shatarine. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So let me share my screen. So text number 24. So the context again, Sri Narada is recalling his past life and explaining it to Srila Vyasadeva. And why is he doing this? He's doing this all to explain the potency, the superiority of the process of bhakti. And he's citing his own life. The son of a maidservant, not very well educated, not from any wealthy background, but by the association of the sadhus, he took the devotional service, and how he traveled, and eventually he had the darshan of the Lord. And we're in that section now. Matir mahi nibhaddeyam na vipadyeta karichit praja sarga nirodhepi smritis chamad anugrahat. Word for word synonyms. Mati, intelligence. Mahi, devoted to me. Nibhadha, engaged. Iyam, this. Na, never. Vipadyate, separate. Karichit, at any time. Praja, living entities. Sarga, at the time of creation. Nirodhe, also at the time of annihilation. Api, even. Smriti, remembrance. Cha, and mat, mine. Anugrahat, by the mercy of. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Intelligence engaged in my devotion cannot be thwarted at any time, even at the time of creation, as well as at the time of annihilation. Your remembrance will continue by my mercy. Purport. Devotional service rendered to the personality of Godhead never goes in vain. Since the personality of Godhead is eternal, intelligence applied in his service or anything done in his relation is also permanent. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that such transcendental service rendered onto the personality of Godhead accumulates birth after birth. And when the devotee is fully matured, the total service counted together makes him eligible to enter into the association of the personality of Godhead. Such accumulation of God's service is never vanquished, but increases till full maturity. So this verse, personally, I take away two main, how can I say, messages. The first is one of encouragement, one of appreciation of Krishna's special mercy. And the second is one of sobriety, making me feel a bit more sober. So I'll try to elaborate on these 2 points. So the essence of this verse, Shri Narada is explaining that one who takes the devotional service, that devotional service never goes in vain. It is to one's eternal credit. And this is completely unlike the material experience. The material experience is that whatever one gains in the material world, it's temporary. It has a beginning and it has an end. Whatever we accumulate in this lifetime, in terms of knowledge, in terms of assets, in terms of resources, in terms of relationships, at the time of death, it's completely thwarted. Means it's finished. But Krishna consciousness, our bhakti, the devotional activities we perform, that stays with us. It is to our eternal credit. And Srila Prabhupada used to compare that to a bank balance. Normally, if you make a deposit and then you make a withdrawal, the balance goes down. But in spiritual life, the deposits we make into our spiritual bank account, it never diminishes. It never goes down. It can only increase. And it is so powerful that even at the time of creation, or even at the time of annihilation, that devotional service is never vanquished. Once someone asked Srila Prabhupada the question, when we become liberated, will we still remember our past lives? And Srila Prabhupada said yes. And he quoted the example of Sri Narad Muni. But see, Krishna is so kind. He helps us to retain and to remember our devotional activities. But he makes us forget all of the other upadhis, the anarthas. Just imagine if in our previous life, which is almost certain, we were in some animal body or some subterranean body, or in a different body of a Chinese or Russian, whatever it is. If we kept those upadhis means those designations, it'll be very, very confusing. So Krishna, he's so kind. He makes us forget all our upadhis. We only gives us one upadhi. This is the current upadhi in this lifetime. All the previous upadhis, he removes. He makes us forget. But our devotional activities, he makes us remember. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks Krishna, what happens to that person who takes up devotional service but is unable to complete it? What will happen to such a person? Arjuna asks, does he perish or fade away like a riven cloud? And Krishna says, no. Krishna says, one who has made some advancement in devotional service. Krishna says two things. Either if he's advanced quite a lot, he will take birth in a family of brahmanas or devotees, where he can quickly continue one's devotional service. Or he may take birth in a wealthy family. Why wealthy family? Because one will not be too preoccupied about making endeavors to maintain the body. By dint of being born in a wealthy family, all of one's bodily necessities are easily taken care of. One can focus on one's spiritual life. So this is something so wonderful about devotional service. And there are so many examples, both in the Srimad Bhagavatam and in our contemporary life. I remember there is one devotee in South Africa. He is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. His name is Shamlal Das. He's from a Bengali background. And Shamlal Prabhu, he had a brain tumor. And he could not remember anything about his current life besides his devotional life. He could tell you everything about his devotional life, but if you ask him to say anything outside of his devotional activities, he wouldn't remember. There was another Mataji, Prabhupada disciple, Arundhati. She had Alzheimer's disease, and practically she could not remember, or Alzheimer's or dementia, and she couldn't remember anything. But one thing she could remember was the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And she would make everybody in the care home chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And everybody was so amazed. You could forget everything else, but you won't forget, the Maha Mantra or Krishna-related activities. So that's the special mercy of Krishna. That is the special mercy and the potency of bhakti. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, from me comes remembrance and forgetfulness. So Krishna will make us forget that which is irrelevant for further progress, and he'll make us remember that which is relevant and important. Can anyone remember some examples in the Srimad Bhagavatam of personalities who in their past life they were devotees, and in their next life, despite their circumstances, they will still be able to remember the devotional activities? Anyone remembers any particular examples?
Vitrasur,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Bharat Maharaj.
And
Bharat Maharaj,
Jada
Vitrasur,
Prabhu.
yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Gajendra.
Gajendra, yes.
Hare Krishna.
See, Gajendra was in the body of an elephant,
Yes.
but still in his previous life as King of Dudumana, he remembered all the prayers. And at the relevant time, he picked up this lotus flower, he offered it to the Lord in a very precarious condition he was, and he was able to recite all of these beautiful prayers. Vritrasura, he was born in the body of a demon, but because in his previous life he was Chitraketu, a great devotee of the Lord Krishna, he was acting like a devotee to the point when he was fighting with Indra. And Indra dropped his weapon. He was telling Indra, why are you being so weak? Pick up your weapon, fight. And then Indra tells Vritrasura, you are a great devotee of the Lord. It's easy for you to speak like this. But for me, it's very difficult. Same with Bharat Maharaj. He was attached to the deer. In his next lifetime, he became a deer. And even in the body of a deer, he could remember his past devotional lives. He wouldn't associate with the other deer. He would only go and eat the dry, hard grass. He performed austerities even in the body of a deer. So we see from the Srimad Bhagavatam also that how kind, how merciful Krishna is to his devotees. Krishna is very, very merciful to his devotees. And therefore, devotional service, Narad Muni, he is quoting this example to Vyasadeva. So the readers of the Bhagavatam will develop more and more faith in their practice of bhakti. This is very, very instructive. It should give us great hope that Krishna will protect us. He will preserve what we have and carry to us what we lack. He will preserve our devotional activities, and we should have confidence even in this lifetime. If we are unable to achieve perfection, then we can be certain that in our next lifetime, we will be automatically attracted to bhakti. We will be automatically attracted to the process of devotional service. And we see it. Often in our movement, how there are people who take to devotional service like a fish taking to water. They just join and they just take to devotional service. So this is very hope-giving for us. Very hope-giving for us. Now, in the beginning, I said there were two main points I wanted to speak about. One is the encouraging nature of this verse, which we've just been discussing. And the second is the sobering aspect of this verse. Now, who can guess or tell me which of the two words in the purport I will talk about as the sobering aspect. Okay, I'll tell you. So Srila Prabhupada, in the purport, he repeats two words. He says, and when the devotee is fully matured. And then Prabhupada says, such accumulation of God's service is never vanquished, but increases till fully matured. Now, Srila Prabhupada is saying that, we will go through this process, this gradual, we'll make advancement, and we'll take off from where we make advancement. And we'll make advancement, and we'll take off from where we made advancement. And this process goes on till we are fully matured. So what does fully matured mean in the process of bhakti? Would anyone like to share their thoughts and realizations on this?
Totally surrendered, Prabhu.
Totally surrendered? Yes. That is a nice statement. Anyone else?
Transcendental.
Transcendental, yes, above the material modes of nature. That's what transcendental means, transcendence. And at what stage on the different stages of bhakti is one deemed to have fully transcended the modes of material nature?
Bhava.
Pure bhakti.
Yeah.
Bhava bhakti and pure
Shuddha
bhakti.
sattva.
Shuddha Sattva.
Suddha sattva, yes. Suddha sattva means the stage of bhava bhakti. So the stage of bhava bhakti, we know there's many stages. First is shraddha, faith. After shraddha is sadhu sangha, association of devotees. After that is bhajana kriya, practice of devotional service, taking initiation. Then anartha nivritti, removal of the unwanted things in the heart. Then nishtha, becoming fixed. Then ruchi, developing taste. Then ashakti, becoming attached to Krishna. Then bhava, which is ecstatic love, the first rays of prema. And then there is prema. So our development goes all the way to bhava bhakti. And at the stage of bhava bhakti, at the stage of where one reaches the Shuddha Sattva, the stage of transcendental goodness, then it is deemed to be fully matured. Another comparison or analogy given is our consciousness is like a flower bud. A flower bud goes to different stages. One, it's a closed bud. Then it starts to open up slowly, then open up more, then fully opened up. Fully opened up when it displays its full color, its full fragrance. So through the process of bhakti, there's a gradual opening and opening and opening and opening of our consciousness. To the stage of bhava bhakti, it's fully opened. So oftentimes we think, yes, end of this lifetime, I will go back to Godhead when I practice Krishna consciousness. But we understand from our teachings that that's not necessarily so. Unless one comes to the stage of bhava bhakti, ecstatic devotional service, then one will take birth again and progress, carry on progressing till we come to the stage. So this is sobering. In in the context that we have to become very serious about our spiritual life. We have to pray very hard that Krishna will bestow this Shuddha Sattva, and we should attract Krishna's mercy. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, he said 3 lives. First lifetime, Kanishta Adhikari, 3rd class devotee. Second life, Madhyam Adhikari, 2nd class devotee. And 3rd life, Uttama Adhikari, 1st class devotee. So I think even 3 lifetimes, it is such a blessing. Once Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was apparently upset with one of his followers, Mukunda Das. And when Mahaprabhu was asked by Mukunda Das, by his followers, how long will it take for Mukunda Das to go back to Godhead? Mahaprabhu said, not until hundreds, thousands of lifetimes. So when the devotees went back to meet Mukunda Das, Mukunda asked, did you ask Mahaprabhu how long it will take for me to go back to Godhead? And the devotees said yes. And they were feeling very hesitant to tell him what Mahaprabhu said. And he said, yes, tell me, what did Mahaprabhu said? He said, Mahaprabhu said, not after 100,000 lifetimes will you go back to Godhead. And then Mukunda Das, he started to jump and say, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, only 100,000 lifetimes, only 100,000 lifetimes. That's like a flash, 100,000 lifetimes. He was so happy. And then when the devotees went back to Mahaprabhu, the Mahaprabhu said, did y'all tell him? They said, yes. How did he react? How did he respond? And they explained to Mahaprabhu. The Mahaprabhu said, bring him here, bring him here. And Mahaprabhu was so pleased with Mukunda Das. So we should never feel discouraged, even if it takes us more than one life. Although Srila Prabhupada said, simply if you chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, minimum 16 rounds, you follow the 4 regulative principles, and you do whatever you can to spread the Krishna consciousness movement, I will guarantee you at the end of this life, you go back to Godhead. So that's a special benediction that Srila Prabhupada has given us. But this is the essence of the verse, which I take away. And maybe I'll stop here and ask you all for your realizations on this verse. What you all take away, or what you feel about what was discussed today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
His
Krishna.
humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I feel very uplifted by this, because Krishna guarantees that we will remember whatever little service we do, whatever little remembrance we do of Krishna, we will remember. So it feels like everything else doesn't matter. So only this matters. So it's so empowering and so uplifting, hope giving, as you're saying. And it's very like sometimes we feel we're not doing enough, or our bhakti is not strong enough, or whatever. But Krishna is assuring us that he is watching, like even the minutest, whatever if we remember him, if we chant his name, if we do anything very little, he still acknowledges it. And that's very hope giving. That's what I thought. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. Krishna is very kind, very merciful. Anyone else has got any reflections or comments? Okay. I have one announcement. Today is the birthday of Divyanam Prabhu. He's our Sankirtan leader. He started this chad, and we owe much to him for his endeavors in encouraging everyone in the bhakti and in the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So one of our members, Sriji Kishori, has said it'll be nice if we all unmute ourselves and 3 times we chant Hari Bol for Divyanam Prabhu and wish him a happy birthday and all success in his Krishna consciousness. So everyone, you can unmute yourself and let's loudly together chant Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Divyanam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Divyanam Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Happy birthday to Vrindavan Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So thank you very much, dear devotees. If there's no further questions or comments, we can close today's session with Vaishnava pranams.
Sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Very much.
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
And love.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji. Hare